Sup you beautiful people. Hope you've had a fantastic day. Welcome back to another new episode of What If Naruto was the conqueror of the Shinobi world. If you guys enjoy this what if, comment down below and let me know. And go ahead and check out other what ifs in the channel after watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like, and also share this video with your friends. So now let's start this video. Hokage office, Itachi-san. How are you? Not well, Lord Third the clan is dead set on their plans. I fear within a year at most they'll revolt. Hiruzen lost his smile. This was serious. He didn't want this to happen. He really truly cared for the Uchiha, no doubt about that. One of his best friends had been an Uchiha. This would only spell disaster for everyone. Anything that we can do. At this stage in the game, I'm doubtful. Hiruzen looked down. However, he looked into Itachi's once more. Shisui told me that if all else had failed, he had a plan. I trust him. Bring him in tomorrow. Hi. Next day Hokage meeting room. The following day, in the room, when Itachi and Shisui both appeared, they noticed Hiruzen and the village elders. Danzo being to Hiruzen's right, with the other two, Hamura and Kaher, to the left. Thank you for coming. Before we begin, can you please brief the elders on the situation? Shisui and Itachi gave them a rundown on the situation. They looked shocked and worried except for Danzo. He seemed to have known all along in some way. He couldn't be behind it all, could he? Hiruzen, I've told you from the beginning. The Uchiha are not to be trusted. It was only a matter of time before a coup took place. Danzo, how dare you? Do you forget that one of our closest friends was Kagami Uchiha? Hiruzen said in defense of the Uchiha clan. They're the few versus the many. They truly valued the village over the clan. However, the Uchiha now can't be trusted. We must strike first and take them all out. Danzo retorted. The Uchiha clan needed to go. They were a danger to the hidden left village. Danzo, enough of this. I will not strike a leaf ally. Hiruzen responded with a slightly higher tone and slammed his fist on the desk in front of him. You're too soft, Hiruzen, Danzo said in disgust. Lord Third, if I may, Shisui said, interjected before things could go south. What is it, Shisui? Please tell me you have a plan. Hiruzen almost pleaded to Shisui. Enough, Hiruzen. Don't listen to this Uchiha, and we must strike. Silence. Go ahead, Shisui. Hiruzen ordered with a glare. Shisui's mind went back to his promise to Naruto, and he knew his little brother would be devastated if anything happened to them. I know what you go through, Naruto. I lost my parent at a very young age. I don't even remember them anymore, but you have me, Naruto, and I will do anything to protect my little brother. Shisui gave him a side hug. I can stop the coup. In 5 days, they will gather the clan. I will use my Kodomatsukami on Fugaku-sama, and he will end the revolt. What? How? Danzo asked with narrowed eyes. My Kodomatsukami is a special genjutsu. The strongest there is. I can activate on someone and practically control them. I can alter memories or fabricate new ones. I would make him believe that he no longer wants the revolt and plan for peace. He would never know. He would think it's what he always wanted out of his own free will. The entire room gasped in shock. The implications and use of such jutsu were absolutely crazy. This was pretty much the pinnacle of genjutsu. Danzo narrowed his eyes even more as he didn't trust such jutsu in the hands of an Uchiha. Hiruzen gained hope that maybe this could work while the elders were caught in the middle. Itachi looked at Shisui in concern. He knew from what Shisui said what the cost was, and even if that wasn't an issue, it must hurt knowing that you are just controlling somebody to your will. Shisui had his eyes closed as he thought about what he had just suggested, but there was no other choice. This had to be done. Very well, Shisui, I will allow you to do this. Hiruzen agreed with hope in his heart. Perhaps the war could be avoided. Hiruzen, you can't be serious. Enough, Danzo. The third roared, and his kai released, causing uneasy feelings to everyone. Hi. Thank you, Sandarime-sama. Shisui said with a bow from his kneeling position. 5 days. In 5 days, the revolt will be over, and they can be peaceful within the village. Naruto wouldn't have to live through civil war, and he could still have his family. In 5 days, everything could be over, and they can continue being happy together. Itachi, Naruto, Izumi, Hiruzen, they can all be together secured in 5 days. Shisui had thought to take Naruto to live with them once he becomes a genin. He's already strong enough to be a chunin. Shisui and Itachi were walking together and had been silent for a while. They didn't really know how to feel. Things would end in 5 days, but also Shisui would carry the guilt of knowing that he's manipulated someone's mind to his will. Shisui, are you sure? Yes, Itachi. If I do this, the revolt is over. We can live in peace together within the village. Naruto won't have to live through civil war, and we can all be a family. You, Izumi, Naruto, it's for you guys. Shisui, listen, friend, don't worry, okay? I got this. Shisui said smiling. I'm going to go see Naruto's progress on the genjutsu. See you around, Itachi. If it's for you too, I'll do anything. No matter the cost. 5 days later, Shisui woke up. These 5 days had been torturous. Despite hiding it as much as possible, his favorite blonde somehow knew he was under pressure. Naruto asked him every day why he was sad and leaving out negative emotions. Shisui, of course, knew of his ability to feel the emotions of others. The Uchiha had tried to surpass them as much as possible, but all that seemed pointless when it came to hiding it from the likes of Naruto. Shisui, of course, had just avoided answering his questions or had tried to change the subject. The Uchiha knew that Naruto could see through his lies, and it hurts to lie to him. 1 hour before clan meeting. Lord Danzo, you wanted to meet me. Danzo stood in front of him and nodded. He looked at him impassively and just internally judged the Uchiha in front of him. How do you know this will work? The genjutsu can't just be broken, and it would only end or change on my choice. Even if I died, the jutsu would remain active. Shisui responded with slightly narrowed eyes. Yes, but what of the other Uchiha? Surely there are many that would revolt regardless. How can you be sure of that? How can you be sure that in the future, the same situation won't happen again? What do you mean? Shisui asked back, his chakra on his foot, ready for anything unexpected. Let's say it works out now, what's to stop the clan in the future from following the same path down the road? It got here once, even if you stop Fugaku, the generation has already decided to take action. What stops them? Fugaku-sama will. They'll listen to him. I doubt that. As such, I believe I shall take your eyes and keep them in my safekeeping. Danzo lunged at Shisui, trying to take an eye from him. Forgive me, Kodomatsukami. Shisui began walking away from Danzo when suddenly, he felt a sharp pain in the gut and kicked to the chest out of nowhere. The hell, he saw Danzo appear in front of him, and he was extremely confused at this. He also noticed that he felt strange now, like he was getting weaker and weaker. Danzo came at him again, attempting to get an eye, and Shisui's eyes whitened. Danzo came so fast, there was no time he was about to get his eye, when suddenly a green aura came, and then threw Danzo back. Susanoo, Shisui said, and the ripsage formed around him, shielding him from Danzo and saving his eyes. He noticed his weakness coming more and more, so he had to flee. He shunsen into the forest. 12 Ridonbu appeared by Danzo. Go get the eyes. Don't kill him. He wouldn't get far with the poison in his system. Shisui blocked a slash aimed for his neck by Foundation members in a bear mask. He shunsen away again to gain distance, trying his best to maintain his lead. Just now he noticed blood coming out of his stomach wound, when Shisui thought and remembered when Danzo first attacked. A flurry of kunai flew towards him, and he deflected them all with his kunai. Landing on a branch, he was soon forced to shunsen again as a brace of shuriken thudded into the tree. This can't go on. I'll have to take them out. Shisui thought desperately as he returned fire with his own kunai. Another agent rushed at him, engaging Shisui in a fierce taijutsu match with flashing kunai blades. Shisui unsheathed his tanto in a brief battle opening and decapitated the agent who was battling him. An agent wearing a bird mask ambushed him from the left with another kunai, slashing Shisui across his left arm, and throwing down a poison bomb as he went. In another shunsen, Shisui stabbed the masked bird agent through the throat, leaving him choking on his blood as Shisui fled. Landing on another branch, Shisui stumbled and fell to the forest floor below, as his vision wavered and his legs weakened. He felt shaky and began coughing violently. Shit. I must have inhaled some of that poison. And who knows what exactly was on that kunai blade. The red agent surrounded him again. The captain gestured to his squad, and one by one, they all raised kunai with explosive tags tied to them. Aim for the legs, don't damage anything above the neck. Came the cold-hearted order. His agents nodded, swiftly sending the kunai flying at Shisui from all directions. Boom. A cloud of dust flew up into the air and settled over the forest. The captain gestured to his subordinates. They nodded and separated to search for Shisui's body parts. Suddenly a shower of bright green projectiles thudded into 3 agents. The smoke cleared, revealing a standing Shisui who was engulfed by a giant fiery green humanoid figure in a tengu mask. The figure appeared to have its chest cage opened, ribs on stark display, with a bright red matagama in the middle of his chest. Shisui panted as his Susanoo slowly disappeared from existence, leaving him defenseless once more. One of the agents broke off from the formation and engaged Shisui as the captain, and the last remaining member hung back and started preparing a jutsu together. Unexpectedly, the single agent engaging Shisui fell with a kunai through the back of his neck. One fireball blasted into the remaining root agents, charring them alive, not even leaving time to shout. Shisui. Are you okay? A worried shout came from the other side of the clearing. Itachi came running out of the forest towards Shisui, and he hurried to support Shisui as he collapsed. Ah, thanks, men, how did you know I needed help? And sorry for the trouble. You didn't show up in the gathering. I left and sensed that your chakra signature was in distress. I arrived to see your technique disappear, Itachi replied as he hovered over Shisui with a basic diagnostic jutsu. He frowned in worry. Shisui had been poisoned with a fast-acting agent that Itachi doubted anyone aside from Tsunade had the skill to remove. Shisui, you don't have much longer left, but we can go to the hospital. Shisui shook his head. We're going to our spot at the Naka River. There's something I must tell you urgently. He then disappeared in a shunsen. The Naka River was indeed a spectacular sight in the setting sun. The beautiful pink rays of light played off the tops of the trees surrounding the valley of the Naka River, and the water was a beautiful blue that rushed cheerfully along. The river looked like a painting rendered masterfully by a professional artist. Unfortunately, this beautiful sight was lost upon the two shinobi that had just arrived. Itachi appeared at the Naka River to coughing Shisui. Itachi started a basic healing technique on his friend to at least ease the pain. Shisui panted as he looked at Itachi with worried and drawn expressions. He laughed. "Don't make these worried faces at me. I believe in you to carry on for me in my place." "Itachi, the Kotomatsukami plan has failed. Danzo's root interfered. He doesn't trust me, and he wants my eyes for himself. He will resort to anything to protect the hidden leaf. They'll probably be coming for my eyes again." Itachi stoically watched Shisui remove his own eyes, holding out a hand to them. "Please, keep my eyes safe. I believe in you. Itachi, I will be giving you great power. You'll need it in the coming days. Please protect Konoha in my stead." Itachi gasped. "Shisui. You can't." Shisui patted Itachi on the shoulder. "I'm not going to last much longer anyway. Take it as my dying wish." As he started coughing blood, his palm on his mouth filled with blood and dripping on the grass. Speechless, Itachi could only gaze at his friend with a stricken expression on his face. Shisui smiled at them blindly. "Come on, even like this, I can tell the face you are making. Don't look so worried, Itachi, everything will be fine." Itachi sadly took the eyes in his hand, drawing a seal on his arm with Shisui's blood, and sealing it away immediately. Itachi summoned a crow and implanted Shisui's eyes into it, and he lowered his head respectfully to Shisui. "I will carry on your will for the Uchiha." Shisui grasped Itachi on the shoulder again. "From now on, you may be forced to walk down a long, dark path. One that is filled with pain and suffering. I have to apologize." Shisui grip on Itachi's shoulder tightened. "That I can't be there with you through it all. Still, I hope you don't falter from your path. And keep moving forwards as a leaf ninja. I believe in you. In you and Naruto. That is why I'm able to ask you to carry on my will." Itachi had silent tears trailing down his face as Shisui patted his shoulder. Itachi grit his teeth tightly. "Promise me to take care of Naruto. He will be alone. I know he's only a child, but I believe in him. He shall be the one to unite this world. He's special, and he will need love now more than ever." Shisui coughed even more blood, and his color skin slowly turned pale. "I will, Shisui. Naruto is my little brother just as much as Sasuke," Itachi promised, and thought of how he could ever tell Naruto. Shisui laughed loudly. Despite his lungs screaming in pain, he ignored it to have the last laugh with his friend and brother. Last actions complete, Shisui was relieved. He let out a short sigh. "Don't stop me." With those final damning words, Shisui smiled and stepped backwards off the cliff, disappearing into the raging waters of the Naka River silently. "Shisui!" Itachi shouted, reaching for Shisui's hands, only to fall short by inches. The figure of Shisui disappeared in the darkness. Itachi's Sharingan changed, taking the form of a three-blade shuriken. Naruto, smiling, he had just finished the academy for today. Naruto rushed outside, the courtyard buzzing with people. The parents had come to take their children home. At the same time, Naruto waited for either Shisui or Itachi to come. Naruto felt the wind blowing against his face as a hand touched his shoulder. Turning around, he smiled, seeing Shisui in front of him smiling. Naruto was surprised that he hadn't felt his chakra coming. "Naruto, is time." Naruto looked confused. His eyes glanced, but he couldn't see Itachi anywhere. "Time for what?" He stopped mid-sentence as Shisui kneeled and hugged him. Naruto immediately returned the hug, but couldn't help but feel cold. "Shisui, are you Naruto? Promise you will live a long life." "I never said it, but you're like a little brother, and you're family to me. I have come to say goodbye. Take care of Itachi," Shisui whispered in his ear. Naruto felt his body start breathing heavily. He wanted to shout, angry, why he was talking like that. "Aj Naruto." The blonde turned his head to see Shikamaru looking at him with raised eyebrows. "You alright?" Naruto turned his head to look at Shisui, but saw no one there, and his senses couldn't detect him anywhere, his eyes desperately trying to see him anywhere. The wind blew again from behind his back, as leaves flew high in the sky. The blonde felt a pain on his chest, his heart beating on his chest, almost popping out, unshed tears on his eyes, his hands shaking. He kept trying to catch his breath, his hands in front of him, not feeling the warmth. "I know what you go through, Naruto. I lost my parent at a very young age. I don't even remember them anymore, but you have me, Naruto, and I will do anything to protect my little brother. Shisui. Itachi tomorrow." Itachi walked inside the secret meeting of the Uchiha clan, his eyes roaming around the large room where the hidden stone of the Uchiha clan stood. His father stood in front of the stone, looking down at it. No one else was in the room. Itachi knew what the stone said. His Mingekyo allowed him to read the secret text, and it sounded too good to be true. His thoughts were interrupted when his father turned to look at his son with a fully matured Sharingan. Itachi narrowed his eyes slightly, his muscles tensed, almost like preparing for a fight. He never believed his father would fight him, but one can never be too prepared. "Itachi, I thought you were training Naruto?" his father asked with a neutral tone, and he didn't look angry with him, much to Itachi's surprise. "He said he didn't feel good," Itachi replied, knowing Naruto's true reason for not training this time. The next thing that happened shocked Itachi to his core. His father's Sharingan changed into a Mingekyo Sharingan. Suddenly everything around him changed. He saw Kurama with Sharingan destroying the village. His tails were destroying the Hokage Tower. Itachi fell on his knees, breathing heavily, cold sweat running down his forehead. Will his father truly do something like that? No, he would not allow it. Raising his head slowly, his own Mingekyo Sharingan was on full display, but to Itachi's surprise, his father didn't even flinch from his new Sharingan, almost like he was expecting it. I didn't know you had it, father, Itachi said, still breathless. During the war, I lost my closest friend. And it's better this way, Itachi. If people of our clan knew of my Mingekyo, they would force me to use it on Naruto. I had him in my house, at my table. I could have easily used it on him, but that's not what I want, Fugaku stated with a cold tone. Itachi, with you inside, we can take over without killing anyone. The only ones that need to die are the Hokage and Danzo. With you we can do it without any bloodshed, his father said, and stretched out his hand for Itachi to grab. Right now, Itachi was happy he hadn't told anyone about Naruto's Sharingan. He looked at his father's hand in front of him. He wanted to accept it. Uchiha clan was his family, but he closed his eyes and remembered her words. Itachi, I love you, and I know we will be together and live in a just world, Izumi said in his ear. Standing up, Itachi closed his eyes and looked at his father with a neutral look on his face. Itachi opened his mouth to respond. Naruto, he ran as fast as he could, jumping from the tree as he approached the Uchiha compound. Naruto spread his senses as far as possible, but couldn't feel Shisui or Itachi. He's not dead, Naruto told himself repeatedly, sweat rolling down his cheek. He felt cold, his whole body crawling. Naruto reached the compound. His body moved on his own. He found Shisui's house, bursting inside. Shisui, Naruto yelled at the top of his lungs, his eyes desperately trying to find him. Where is he? Where here? Where? Naruto understood he wasn't here. He jumped away, making his way towards Itachi's house. Perhaps he's there despite not feeling him or Shisui neither there. The sun shines on his face, red leaves flying towards the sky. He shielded his face from the leaves flying on his face. Reaching the door, he opened it. Itachi, Shisui, Naruto cried out, his eyes looking around when he heard footsteps. Almost breathed in relief only to see Mikoto walking downstairs. She noticed his pale face, his breathing quickening and not stopping. Where's Shisui and Itachi? Naruto asked immediately as she tried to approach and ask what was wrong. I don't know, Naruto, but what's wrong? Naruto didn't stay and immediately jumped away. He activated his Sharingan as he jumped at the top of a pole, his eyes trying to find them. Naruto swallowed a huge breath. Where? Please, where are you? Take care of Itachi. No, you're not dead. Where? Naki River. Naruto immediately rushed towards the river, knowing he, Shisui and Itachi had trained there many times. Reaching it, he looked around for any sign of Shisui. The trees everywhere around him, the sound of the river rushing in his ears. Shisui. No sign as he kept his Sharingan activated. Inside, Kurama was silent, knowing what Naruto wanted to refuse. Naruto, he's... Shut up, Naruto yelled at his friend. Kurama always supported him. No, Shisui can't be dead. Naruto ran to the top. From there, he could see very far, his eyes searching around, nothing but trees and rocks. Shisui. Naruto turned his head downwards at the bottom, where the waterfall ended. He noticed something, jumping down, the tiny bits of water hitting his face as he reached the bottom. There he saw a body lying at the shore. Naruto swallowed. He felt his body freeze. He closed his eyes tightly, enough to hurt, his breathing rate increasing, his heart hitting his chest like a hammer, his hands and legs shaking. Naruto didn't know how, but he found himself walking towards it. Soon he reached the body lying on his belly, his right hand on the mud and his left hand still beneath the water. His hand moved on its own, rolling the body to face him. No. Itachi, Nai-san, help. Kurama, you can help him, Naruto shouted, his hand touching his neck, desperately trying to find a pulse. Naruto, I'm really sore. Nuo, shut up. He can't be, he promised. He can't be. Naruto fell on his knees. He closed and opened his eyes. Shisui's still there. Big brother, please. Please. Naruto suddenly felt lightheaded, his entire body numb, everything covered in darkness. The last thing he heard. I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. Itachi, after 2 days' night. It was just past dinner time when Izumi heard a quiet but firm knock at her door. A pretty smile immediately graced the young girl's features as she sensed a familiar chakra signature. For a moment, she had an internal freakout. This was so sudden. She certainly hadn't expected Itachi to show up out of the blue, not that she was complaining. What if she looked like a hot mess? Untying her apron and tossing it aside, she quickly made her way to the living room mirror. She examined herself thoroughly, ensuring that there was nothing in her teeth and that she looked presentable. Deciding she shouldn't keep Itachi waiting any longer, she ran her fingers through her long hair and smoothed out her clothes before going to answer the door. Itachi-kun, what brings you? Wait, are you okay? The smile that previously graced her features disappeared as she took in the object of her affection's appearance. Itachi was in full-on gear, katana and all. She hadn't been aware that he'd been assigned to a mission. What was even weirder was the fact that he'd stopped by to see her before leaving. The raven-haired man quietly stepped into her apartment and removed his mask, donning a carefully controlled and blank expression. However, Izumi had known Itachi for a long time. She studied him carefully, looking into his eyes. She saw the pain in those onyx orbs of his, and her chest constricted painfully. Something was terribly wrong. Shutting her door and taking a calming breath, Izumi offered what she hoped was a comforting smile. "I can tell something is wrong, Itachi-kun. Talk to me," she said. He stood there for a few moments, still as a statue. Inwardly, two parts of himself were at war with one another. He had a mission to carry out. Tonight was the night that the Uchiha clan, except for his younger brother, were to be exterminated. Why did his father and his fellow clansmen have to be so damn foolish? As he gazed into Izumi's innocent and hopeful eyes, he was almost tempted to take her, Sasuke and Naruto, and run someplace far away. Nobody had to die tonight. He could take his two little brothers and his lover. They could be happy together, the village and the clan be damned. You know that can never happen, Itachi thought bitterly. The Anbu captain had decided to begin his onslaught with Izumi, the woman he was well aware of harbored deep feelings for him. She was so sweet and innocent, completely unfit for shinobi life. Yet, she felt that she had something to prove, and insisted on continuing to push herself. As twisted as it sounded even in his own mind, he had to kill her first to spare her. If nothing else, he wanted her last moments in the world to be painless and for her to never be traumatized. He almost released a bitter laugh, disgusted with himself. Trying to protect her while killing her, how noble. Truthfully, Itachi wanted to tell her everything. He knew he could tell her anything, and she would never judge him, she would simply understand. Unfortunately for both of them, their fate was sealed. He knew that he couldn't put things off any longer, and he activated his Sharingan, his expression blank. "There's nothing to talk about," he said coldly, his voice wavering ever so slightly. Izumi's eyes widened in alarm as realization washed over her like a tidal wave. She thought back to the hushed conversations that Itachi and Shisui had when they thought she was out of earshot. Had things truly gotten that bad? Had communications between the village and the Uchiha broken down that much? She took a shaky breath, more out of shock than fear. "You're here to kill me, aren't you?" she asked calmly, no hint of accusation in her tone. Itachi swallowed thickly, trying to maintain his composure. "I don't expect you to understand, and I'm sorry." Tears stung at the back of her eyes, and she cursed herself for being so weak. She knew that there was no way she could fight him. Even if she could, she wouldn't. It was clear even to civilians that there had been tension between the village and the Uchiha for years. The optimistic side of her always believed that things would be resolved peacefully. As she took in Itachi's pained expression that he was so desperately trying to hide, she found that she couldn't be angry with him if she tried. She'd known him for years and knew that he despised the shinobi lifestyle and only wished for peace. She knew he had his reasons if he was standing in front of her like this to take her out. Her heart broke for him as she realized the pain and suffering he would endure for the rest of his days. Izumi released a breath she wasn't aware she'd been holding, and bravely looked into Itachi's eyes. "I know that you wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't your last resort. I want you to know that I'm not angry with you. And that I love you," she whispered, unable to stop the tears from falling. Upon hearing her confession, Itachi closed his eyes as the weight of her words washed over him. Of course, he'd known that she loved him. It was evident in the way that she looked at him when she thought he wasn't looking and in her actions. Why she loved him, he had no idea. Yes, he was a skilled shinobi. However, he could never be what she needed. Izumi deserved someone who would fawn over her and treat her like a queen. He was a trained killing machine and faced death and destruction daily. She was simply too sweet and kind to live that kind of life. Itachi realized that he wished he could be that man for her. The girl standing in front of him had wormed her way into his heart, and now he was seconds away from killing her. "I know," was all that Itachi said before opening his eyes and unleashing his Tsukuyomi upon her. Izumi looked around the grand ballroom and quickly realized that she was in an illusion. However, this genjutsu felt so real, so unlike anything she'd experienced before. She gasped as she felt a warm hand grasp her own, and she turned to find Itachi standing beside her with a gentle smile on his face. He was dressed in a tuxedo, and he looked as handsome as ever. She glanced down and discovered she was wearing a beautiful strapless white dress with intricate beading. Izumi felt tears well up in her eyes upon realizing that this was her wedding, and nearly fainted as Itachi leaned in close to her, and whispered "I love you" in her ear. Suddenly she found herself in a huge room with a lovely view of the ocean. The room had an indoor jacuzzi bath and rose petals, leading up to the most comfortable-looking king-size bed she had ever laid eyes upon. "Is this my honeymoon?" Izumi thought with a blush. Her question was quickly answered as Itachi embraced her from behind. He leaned down and peppered soft kisses along her neck, and she shivered at the contact. She knew this was just a powerful illusion, but she never wanted it to end. She would embrace it for as long as she could. Turning in his arms and wrapping her arms around his neck, Izumi caught his lips in a fiery kiss. He backed her up toward the bed and made quick work of removing their clothing, his lips never leaving hers. He overwhelmed her senses, and she began to feel dizzy with desire. Just how long had she been dreaming of this moment? She dreamt of giving herself to him for longer than she'd like to admit. For a moment, she almost forgot it was an illusion. As he caressed every inch of her skin and brought her to euphoria, she let all thoughts and worries leave her mind. Time suddenly moved forward, and Izumi found herself sitting on a familiar park bench. It didn't take her long to realize that she was sitting in the park where she and Itachi played as children. Scanning the park for any sign of Itachi, she gasped as she took in the sight before her. The raven-haired man was holding a little girl in his arms, spinning her around as she squealed happily. The little boy that appeared to be a couple of years older than the girl spotted Izumi and ran towards her with a smile on his face. "Mama, come play with us." Izumi couldn't stop the tears of joy from falling. Once again, time moved forward, and she found herself sitting in a rocking chair on a front porch, a cup of tea in hand. Glancing next to her, she found an elderly Itachi right by her side. She gave him a smile, which he returned, and they talked about their lives and grandchildren. She knew that she was witnessing what were to be her final moments, and she couldn't have been more content. Growing old and passing on beside Itachi would be the perfect ending to her story. Later, in the following hours, silent screams echoed throughout the Uchiha compound. As he ran another one of his kin through, as he felt their blood splatter against his sword and clothes, he couldn't help but think that the stains would never come off his soul. No matter how spotless his clothes looked when he finished purging them of the blood of his comrades, his conscience could never be cleaned. It was on this matter of thought where he found his father, alone. It was as if he was being waited for. "Itachi, what lies behind this slaughter?" He waited before speaking again, but his twisted eyes spoke to him in the way his father never could, the Mangekyou Sharingan. "Are you going to show me a different future from the one I showed you?" Itachi's eyes were dead as he faced the man who raised him, knowing only one of them would walk out alive. Asked Uchiha. Elsewhere, while father and son faced a dangerous confrontation, the shadowy figure in the orange mask known as Uchiha Madara had his own part in eradicating the Uchiha. He was walking out of the now corpse-filled Uchiha police building, so easy, he thought when he felt a rush of cold around him. The masked man looked around when he immediately turned his head, looking at the moon. I could have sworn I felt someone up there." The figure disappeared, leaving Itachi to deal with his little brother. Itachi stared at the numerous bodies strewn around the streets. "This is the future I see for the Uchiha." Fugaku's warped Mangekyou eyes narrowed dangerously. "I see." Fugaku's calm demeanor belied what he was thinking on the inside, his mind racing. And he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Kagebunshin. Itachi narrowed his eyes and thought. "This isn't good. Tusan was the worst possible enemy for me. This is going to be a battle of Mangekyou Sharingan." He pushed the thought out of his mind as he traveled to his home, where he knew his father would be, along with his mother. The quick shunshin got him outside of the house, where he walked toward the door cautiously, watching for any traps or surprises. He was trying to discreetly check their bedroom for them when he heard a voice from the living room. His father's voice resonated throughout the dead silent compound. "Come inside, there are no traps. I will not participate in a death match with my own son." Itachi obeyed but kept his guard up. He walked in to have his mind blown. His parents were kneeling on the living room floor with their back to him. No fighting positions, no weapon in hand, not even a clenched fist. They were truly prepared to die. That's when the gravity of the situation hit him. Could he truly end their lives, the very people who fed him, clothed him, and were even prepared to die for him? For a cause they didn't believe in, just because he supported it. Itachi couldn't keep the sword from trembling in his hands as he stood behind his mother and father, tears rolling down his cheeks. His father's strong, commanding voice he would never see again cut through him sharper than any blade. "You've aligned with the other side," he responded, his eyes getting watery. "Tusan, Ka-sanai." He was cut off by his mother's voice that held his heart in a vice grip. "We know, Itachi." His father spoke again. "Itachi, promise me one thing. Take care of Sasuke and Naruto." Itachi felt like he was being given his own personal type of torture, as he couldn't hold back the tears anymore. His heart constricted tighter than he thought possible as his teary voice stuttered. "I will." Itachi readied his katana with a heavy heart he thought would simply give out because of how much pain he felt. His father spoke for the last time. "Do not fear. This is the path you have chosen. Compared to your pain, ours will be gone in an instant. Even if our philosophies differ, I am proud of you. You truly are a kind child." His silent sobs, heard only by him, increased as he drove his katana through their chests. While witnessing the aftermath of what he had done, he heard footsteps approaching the door. He recognized them as his little brother, Sasuke. He forced himself to look strong. The only way to escape this pain weighing him down like an anchor. He forced himself to stay silent after hearing Sasuke's yell, and as he heard, "Tusan, Ka-san," yelled in fear, he stepped out of the shadows. "Itachi, you have to help." Ka-san and Tusan are when he heard no reply from the older boy, he repeated again, shakily. "Itachi, who could do this?" The raven-haired Anbu watched as horrifying comprehension settled into his brother's eyes, as he saw the blood-stained katana held in Itachi's hands. As soon as those words left his throat, Sasuke felt a sting on his shoulder, and a shuriken embedded in the wall behind him. He looked down to see a thin line of blood under his ripped clothing, and looked up in fear. Wait a second, no. Despite their teary state almost in an instant, Itachi's eyes were now as motionless as a stone. He spoke in the cruelest voice he could. Foolish little brother. I almost pity you. So weak. Sasuke's tortured voice ripped Itachi apart. Why? Why did you do this? Itachi spoke. To test the limits of my ability. Sasuke was gripped with the fiercest anger he had ever been in his life at those words. To test your ability. That's the reason you butchered every member of our clan. Of our family. Sasuke charged at Itachi as fast as he could, screaming. You're out of your mind. As he went to strike Itachi, a swift punch to the stomach stopped him cold in his tracks. Saliva was forcibly ejected from his mouth as he stood, suspended on his older brother's fist. Removing that support sent Sasuke careening to the floor, face to face with his dead mother and father. It was then Sasuke started to sob uncontrollably. The volume is only matched by the booming sound of Itachi stepping toward him. He looked up in fear before realizing what he earlier had not. I'm scared. He repeated again, audibly. I'm scared. The younger Uchiha turned and ran out the door as fast as possible. His sobs echoed throughout the night as he screamed. I don't want to die. He kept running through the streets of the Uchiha district, hoping it wasn't empty for the reason he knew it to be. He kept running until the sound of Itachi's ninja sandal hitting the floor in front of him struck fear into every cell in his body. Please, don't kill me. Itachi's hard voice answered him. You're not even worth killing. Foolish little brother, if you wish to kill me one day, foster your hatred and despise me. By all means, run. Cling to your wretched life. And when you have the same eyes as me. His warped Mangekyou Sharingan spun menacingly. Seek me out. With the following two words, Itachi had to gather up more resolve than he ever had to in his life. Mangekyou Sharingan. Sasuke yelled in agony as Itachi used his Tsukiyomi to force him to fall asleep. Only when he fell to the ground did Itachi release him from the clutches of Tsukiyomi. With that, Itachi disappeared and decided to visit Naruto one last time. However, he turned as he heard the sounds of two kunai racing toward him. After seeing it was Naruto. Naruto was silent, his breath stuck on his throat like a lump, frozen like ice, piercing his flesh. His eyes saw Itachi in front of him, but at the same time, he couldn't believe his own eyes. Why? Why? Itachi? Why? Naruto finally managed to ask, his Sharingan shining in his eyes. He focused on his answers. He would know the truth, and he would not let him leave until he knew it. Itachi looked at Naruto with pain behind his eyes. He didn't know why he was here, and how. He made sure that he would be in the apartment this night. I did it to test my abilities. Itachi spoke with a nice tone. He needed to lie and hide the truth, but don't lie to me, Ni-chan. Naruto screams in return, tears streaming down his cheek. Itachi didn't know how Naruto could know he was lying. He knew Naruto could tell lies from the truth, but that wasn't what caught his attention. No. Itachi saw as the Sharingan in Naruto's eyes changed. His Tamos started spinning until finally, they created his Mangekyou Sharingan. Naruto, I need you to leave now. Itachi spoke with a commanding tone, his Mangekyou in his eyes. He prepared to use Tsukiyomi on him. Naruto suddenly spread his arms, his hands open, before Itachi could do anything. Conqueror no Tensei. Suddenly Itachi felt a wave of cold wash over his whole body. He felt pain spread everywhere when suddenly it disappeared. Itachi's hand moved and his katana's pommel tightened to his back. What's this? He asked himself, unable to stop himself, as his body suddenly rushed towards Naruto, his katana pointed at his chest. No. Naruto closed his eyes, waiting for his fate as a single tear fell on the ground as a scream of despair echoed through the night. Naruto opened his eyes, feeling no pain. He saw the blade just inches away from his chest where the heart was. He saw Itachi's right eye bleeding. Suddenly, before anything could be said, the sky turned red, the moon changed color to black, the bodies of everyone disappeared, including Itachi, who turned into crows. What happened here? Naruto asked, knowing he was in Tsukiyomi. The crows suddenly came together in a single point. Itachi looked at his little brother, who was still waiting for his answer. I'm really sorry, Naruto. My clan wanted to take over the village. It was my decision, Itachi answered honestly. Naruto closed his eyes, trying to take it all in. A flash of Shisui's body hit him. What happened to Shisui? Naruto asked, his Mangekyou shining. Itachi gulped slightly. The last thing he needed was for Naruto to dedicate his life to killing Danzo, but he knew Naruto wasn't an ordinary child. Please, just tell me, Naruto pleaded. Itachi sighed, knowing his brother could tell if he was lying, and his Mangekyou wasn't something he had accounted for. Opening his eyes, he told Naruto everything about that day, how Shisui had tried to use Kodomatsukami, and Danzo trying to steal his eyes. When he was done, Naruto's facial expression didn't change outside, not even in the slightest, but inside he felt a burning fire. Later, Itachi returned back, gasping for air. Naruto suddenly fell on his knees. Naruto felt dizzy. He still wasn't sure what jutsu he used to do that to Nai-san, but his chakra had dropped to almost zero. Itachi said something, but Naruto could hardly hear anything at this point. Itachi left him alone as Naruto fell unconscious. Naruto, he didn't know how long he had been lying on the ground. His body slowly rose up, his legs shaking. He used a bit of Kurama's chakra to fully stand up and walk towards the house. Reaching the house, he walked inside. His eyes found her figure lying dead close to Fugaku. Naruto walked and reached her. His shaking hand touched her now cold cheek, his forehead touching hers. Her smile had disappeared. "Ka-chan, please wake up," Naruto pleaded, moving her shoulder, but her body was as cold as a grave. Her skin had turned pale like snow, blood all over the floor. "You can call me Ka-chan." Naruto started sobbing, his forehead touching her shoulder. He kept moving her shoulder, hoping that she would wake up. Naruto's Mingekyo started expanding before turning metallic color. I failed, I failed, I failed. The sound of a huge explosion was the last thing Naruto heard. Thanks for listening. I do hope you enjoyed. If you want the next part of this video, like, subscribe and comment down below, and turn on the bell notification. And also check out other videos that I have created and enjoy. See you in the next video. Peace.